Gratcast 145. Trying out a new opener.
Yeah, we are. How's it going, everyone?
I think we came in smooth on this one, dear.
I hope we did.
Oh, it's about time. We're due for a smooth entry.
Hi, Emily. Emily's watching.
I don't know how smooth my collar is. All right, let's dive right into some stuff here, dear. Let's get into what happened this week. Some good things happened this week, and some not so good things happened this week. Let's start with the bad stuff first. We can get that out of the way.
Oh, you want to start with the downers?
Well, yeah, so we can move past it and get into the fun stuff.
All right, very American way of thinking.
Dayton, El Paso, both had very, very bad weeks.
Cairo also just had a bombing last night.
Oh,
yeah.
It's the Middle East. There's gonna be one of them every day. I mean, not that we're one to talk anymore. We're pretty much
we are having
turning into the Middle East
every weekend now.
I just have to stop and point out your sweet Fred tie you got going on there.
I have an ice pack on the back of my neck. This thing is holding it on there. It's hot in the studio, everyone. Oh, hot.
So, I don't know what can be done about the shootings. You guys can focus on the weapon and the gun debate all you want.
There went my ice pack.
Oh, ice pack down. But at the end of the day, if somebody has checked out on life and they want to take as many people down with them as possible, there's not really anything you can do to stop them until they've already done it. It's a scary reality. It's a scary truth. We've talked about it here way too many times on Gratcast.
Now, see, I hear what you're saying, except that I just saw an article about a grandma who a month ago in Texas turned her own grandson in because he said he was going to be doing this stuff. That he was going to shoot up a place and he wanted to get killed by officers.
Well, by all means.
He said to her, she had to actually calm him down and then convince him to allow her to take him to a hospital. And then the police were brought in.
Well, by all means, if you know somebody's going to do something like that,
there was a stockpile
absolutely.
of guns. There were weapons already.
Well, yeah, if somebody has prior knowledge and speaking out, that's something that's definitely got to happen. But the fact remains, if John Doe decides to go underground, go off the grid, and pop back up the day he wants to kill himself and take out as many people as he wants with him, what can we really as a society do about that without freaking really ushering in a police state?
Well, part of it is we can't just assume that when people say stuff that they're just exaggerating. That is no longer an option. It's not a privilege of anyone anymore to exaggerate your feelings to the point of threatening other people because they'll get it. This guy from Dayton, they're trying to say, or at least the media tried to say at first, that he was bullied. No, all of his classmates who went to school with him are attacking the media right now, putting up all the things that he did. He made a rape list. He made a hit list. He even threatened his school with a bombing. He called it in. He was kicked out of the school. Why was he not brought to the police then? That many actions, that is exactly the kind of person you're supposed to be aware of. And you can't just say, that's just him being him. Bullies don't get to be bullies anymore. And people who are that upset over anything in their life have to actually be aware of them now.
You have to balance this out. These random horrific small percentages of terrible actions with the remaining population.
They weren't actions for him. They were words, and that's how he got away with it. It was just a list I created. It was the expression. It was how I felt.
The point of what I'm trying to say is emotion is great, and it's fun in these situations to, angry, why didn't anyone know anything and do anything? But again, there's only so much you can do until somebody actually takes action. Was this a troubled child? Was this a bad seed? Probably. All signs point to that. But without getting into thought crime and pre-crime, what are you really going to do to stop that? That's not going to impose on far more people's livelihood and ability to live their lives than...
Well, you're crossing over into a part of later on in the show. So you got to stop that train right now.
No, because
that's my bullet blitz. So you better back the heck off on one that I've
This has nothing to do with conspiracy theories. It has to do with a reality as a society. As long as
it's my bullet blitz, dude.
As long as there's freedom to to do as you please, which is what our society is founded on and based on. That has to exist. As long as
you can do what you please as long as it doesn't impinge on anyone.
Yes, but the point is you can't stop somebody when they go to do that before they do it. So if everyone is free to do as they please and somebody chooses to hurt other people, you can't hold them accountable for that action until they've committed that action.
Even when they threaten it?
There's only so much.
You can't threaten someone's life and not have.
There's only so much. What are you gonna put them in jail forever? Forever because you said some bad words because you said something out of anger.
Their life and everyone believes you'll do it.
That's again. It feels good to be angry and piss and moan about what needs to be done and what should be done. But it takes a real simple, rational mind to take a step back and realize that's exactly where we get to a bad place. That's exactly where you get the Patriot Act from. Oh, what are we going to do to stop the terrorists? We've got to do something to stop the terrorists. Everybody turn over their rights. The reality is, and nobody liked it when Neil deGrasse Tyson put out this tweet that was utterly insensitive, but cold, hard numbers usually are insensitive. And like people are dying from accidents and a lot worse things every single day than from these type of things and these gun violences. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't do all we can do, but we also have to be honest as a society and realize there's a certain point where if a single individual wants to be a lone wolf and cause damage, that's the hardest thing in the world to stop. Terrorists are a small group of lone wolves and they're difficult to stop. One person can go underground even more so. Like there's unfortunately, there's a clear-cut line between red flags and troubled behavior and a violent, horrible action. And there's nothing you can do to stop somebody when they've decided to cross that line. Great. You took the guns away. You don't think they're going to either find an illegal gun or they're going to find another weapon? There's stabbing massacres happen all over the place as well. Well, we're going to ban knives? What happens if there's a rash of pilots that suddenly decide they're done with life and their way of committing suicide is to just dive the plane into the ground? And 4 or 5 of those happen within a couple months period. What are we going to ban flights? Nobody can take planes anymore?
Well, you just gave us a ton of reasons of saying just put up your hands and say who the hell cares because there's nothing to be done about it anyway.
The point is there isn't nothing that can there isn't nothing that there is something that can be done. There is nothing that can be done about a lone wolf that wakes up one day and decides to hurt as many people as possible. The only thing that can be done is the first person that sees them taking action has to either stop them or notify somebody who can stop them. What's the alternative? Every single person lives under an imposed police state of thought crime. That's Minority Report.
We don't have precogs seeing the future and then doing it.
No, we don't. We've got algorithms. And like I was at Above Top Secret this week, and there's already one idiot on there. You know, algorithms could solve this problem. There's so much data and everything out there that if we just got algorithms to tell us who's going to commit crimes before they committed the crimes, we could stop people from getting hurt. Could you? Sure. How many people had a bad day and were super angry at the world and said a lot of dumb shit and never acted on those things that you're going to round up and lose as well? I'll tell you right now, if we're rounding people up for saying horrible things and implying actions that they've never taken, but they're saying that at like a belligerent customer service person or whatever, round me up. I'm the first one that's got to get taken away.
He is.
And I'm not going to hurt anybody. But sometimes, you know, people tie your hands and there's nothing else you can say but something stupid out of anger and frustration. Is it right? No. Do I deserve to be freaking locked away and have the key thrown away? Absolutely not.
But is it right? Is it right to be spewing out hatred?
Is it right? Is it right
about situations, but you take it out on the people?
Is it right to get paid?
Mass shootings are.
Is it right to get paid to deliver customer service?
They want to take it out on everybody else.
Is it right to be paid to deliver customer service and sit there and just not give a shit and yeah your way through the call and like a zombie until you do the next call and you're just sitting there cashing checks?
I mean, if someone's gonna keep just yelling at you, yeah.
No.
This
is the nonsensical emotional shit that drives me nuts. You like acting and implying that somebody just started yelling at the customer service person for no reason whatsoever is just propaganda and totally a misleading statement there. The only customer service representatives I ever blast are the zombies, just to see if there's any kind of reaction you can get out of these people, or whether they are truly a drone that can only live by what the words are on the screen. Like, we're way off the beaten path here, but I'll give you another one. When you call these people, I'm the customer you screwed over. I've got the issue. I'm calling to get my problem fixed out, wasting my time. I'm not getting paid to have this phone call. It's not a happy phone call. And you, the customer service representative, your professional job is to have that phone call. And then you want to, oh, sir, can you please calm down? Can you be more professional, sir? Can you please talk in a professional tone? Am I a professional customer service caller? Seriously? No, I'm not getting paid to call you. You're getting paid to deal with me. Deal with it. Moving on. Let's get into the positive, happy stuff now.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Romello's got a new show, damn it.
Fantastic. Tell me about Romello's show.
I'm still trying to figure out if we're live on YouTube or not. Okay, we are live on YouTube. I see myself. We're good to go. We've got Johnny in the house on the comments section. Johnny, I just got them comments open, so I apologize for...
What does Johnny say?
Let's see. Hey, hope you all are doing good. Yeah, it's just insane how people can just snap. Mental health, man. Well, the society we're living in, it's a grindstone. It just keeps grinding people and grinding their gears until springs pop. Not everybody's as strong as everybody else. So when we're living in an entire construct that is designed to rub you the wrong way, to have the friction, have everybody butting heads and stuff, there's a certain percentage of those people are going to snap one day. I can't take it anymore. I can't take the world dumping on me everywhere I turn. And then there's other bad seeds, which it sounds like the Dayton guy is. That was just a dick from day one. So, he also says news outlets are all in a competition to get their info out faster than others, even if it's sacrificing accuracy. Oh.
Yeah, like the splashier they can say it, the more it'll draw someone's eye and get that reaction. They'll do it that way, and they'll exaggerate and then choose the exact opposite of the truth because they don't want to wait to find out. Heaven forbid you ask anybody he went to school with first what he was like. Let's all just jump on the bully bandwagon. He was bullied. We were all bullied. I'm sorry, but every single one of us bullied someone and was bullied, whether or not we realized it.
The irony is we're diving into a catch-22 with the news as well. I don't know whether to believe the later stories or the earlier stories. Sometimes the early reports are the most accurate ones before they've had a chance to twist the story and change it.
To have certain people make phone calls and, we're not including that person anymore.
I'll give you a perfect example.
That's not going to happen.
There was the early reports out of Costco in Corona there was a spree shooter that pulled out a gun and started shooting people and shot 3 people. Then, as the story went on and evolved, suddenly it was now, he was a cop. It was self-defense. It was all self-defense. We're not going to show anybody the security footage that we have in there. We're just going to keep not talking about this story for weeks and weeks and on end, hoping eventually it just fades out of the newspaper. But luckily, the lawyer for the family is fighting, and details are starting to trickle out. They continue to do so. I'm not letting the story die. Every week I look up on it. And big story that's come out on this. The police went and forced all the employees that saw the security footage to sign non-disclosure agreements. That doesn't sound like freaking transparent protect and serve behavior. Maybe it is protect and serve, but not us.
Yeah.
The other thing that came out is the employees, before they had signed non-disclosure agreements, had talked to the attorney, and they told the attorney the first person to get shot in the altercation was the mother in the back, shielding her son, saying, he's sick, please don't hurt him. The father was the second one trying to step in between the situation to get shot. So the mom in the back, the father, and then the guy that was beating him and made the cop fear for his life was
mentally challenged one.
Yeah, was the third one to get shot down.
Who was also a mute for 10 years. Yeah. But he apparently yelled at the guy who the cop also at first claimed he was holding his child. And then the witnesses said, no, his wife was holding the child a few feet away. Just a chunky fucking man deciding he needed to have food right then.
Everything about that case says a rage incident. Somebody's ego got tweaked. That you stepped to me with my family here. How dare you? I'm putting you all down. And there's nothing anyone's going to do about it. And that's exactly what happened.
Costco does have a rule of no firearms. I don't care if you have a carrying permit. Fuck you, go put it in your goddamn car. If you don't feel safe in Costco, you don't go to Costco. You're the reason no one else feels safe now.
Here's the real problem. And this is why
Shame on him.
is why people continue to lose trust in law enforcement. When they don't hold their own accountable, you send two messages out there. You send one message to the public that these guys are never going to get held accountable.
Untouchable.
We can't even agree that choking a man to death over a single cigarette is a bad thing. The police union's power is being stripped in New York City because we want to fire a guy that choked somebody to death over a cigarette. Can't even agree on that stuff. But here's the other message you send. You keep sending the message to these law enforcement officers that they are invincible, that the system will protect them no matter what kind of error in judgment they make.
Which kind of makes you think the only way to get around it is become a cop.
It kind of makes you think.
Shouldn't we all just join? What happens when everybody tries to sign up and they all go, well, I want a gun.
Well,
I want to beat the shit out of everyone else, even when I'm off duty.
That's another thing nobody wants to talk about is that profession attracts the egomaniac, the tough guy, the guy
complex.
The one that was bullied in high school and wants to make everybody in the neighborhood that was paid.
Was the bully and realized when he went to college he was not hot shit, so he went back to his small hometown and became a cop there just to destroy everyone again.
Speaking of small hometown cops, I'm going to give a shout out to Nathan. This guy even pissed off the police force. This was the type of cop that went to high school and he was the little short guy and everybody picked on him, that gave the police officers' wives, the judge's family, gave all them tickets too. Even his own fellow officers despised him. They sold t-shirts at 7-Eleven and said, I got busted by Nate. It was a big joke. Guy holds state records in New York State for most tickets given out in a month.
So who is this dude?
His name's Nathan. He's a lunatic.
From
Western New York.
Oh,
yeah. He tried to go to be a big city cop one time, and somebody ragdolled him while he had him in cuffs, and a week later he was back in Western New York.
That had to be fun for the other officers to see.
All right, we're way in.
So we were going to talk about
way
Romello.
into the weeds here. Yes, Romello.
Sorry, Romello. We kind of whooped in there.
Do we have Facebook comments up too? Just keep an eye, make sure. I've got.
Emily's watching.
All right, cool. I've got D-Live up over here. We've got YouTube up over here. So we're fully engaged on the comments this week. We've bailed on the whole restream appearing on screen. We're done giving them chances. But yes, Romello Nelson. He's a sharp kid. He's 21, 22 or 23.
He's mid-20s now.
Yeah, I mean
we met him when he was just we've
known him forever.
Fresh face.
But he's
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
He's one of these old souls that is very smart, very knowledgeable, very calming for his age. I love being around this dude. Yeah, he's a smart dude. He's very charismatic. There's two people I've met out here that I said this is an A-lister in the making if they get the right opportunities and the doors open for them. Romello's an A-lister in the making. He's a star. I've got a bunch of different content written around him as a character actor. But he's starting his own podcast. It's called Welcome to Rome. Because Romello, Rome is kind of his shorthanded name. So Welcome to Rome is kind of the pun there on his show.
What's it about?
For as young and sophisticated as this young kid is, or this young man is, he doesn't want to get on the live stream train. He's pre-recording his podcast. So we
did that at one point.
Yeah,
when we started out.
But that was before the live stream boom. You got a live stream now, or you're just wasting time. But this is a damn good show, and he's going to add a lot to it. So I think this is one of them rare gems that'll be better for it. But it's called Welcome to Rome. He started out with a couple musicians, and one was a musician and a comedy sketch writer. That he started out writing sketch comedies about 10 years ago, and he's kind of like an OG on the internet circles now. Built an audience, built a following. He's trying to move it into music and stuff now. And both of these conversations that he had with these two individuals were fascinating. Like sitting there, sweating my ass off on the roof, recording this podcast. It was enthralling stuff, and these conversations were great for up and coming artists and people that are just faced with constantly having to give up or keep pushing ahead and pushing forward for their dreams. Both of them started talking, because one's from New York and the other one's from somewhere on the East Coast as well. but both of them kind of just naturally touched on, I've been out here for a while now. I'm chasing the dream, but I still haven't quite made it to that sustainable level where I want to be. But my family's getting older, and people are starting to age and need my help back home now. And we're not kids anymore. We're adults, and we're the next generation up on deck that's got to take care of our family and our parents and people that are getting older. And that shit really hit home, because that's something that I've been thinking about a lot over the years out here as we continue to age. And for whatever reason,
I don't age. I stopped aging years ago.
You can go back to Gratcast and literally watch my hair fall out and pretty much find the chapter episodes of what caused it.
You can see how scary his beard became at certain points. Ooh.
Well, you can tell the level of shut in I'm going through based on the beard length.
Yeah, definitely craziness there.
All right, so I'm not sure when Romello's podcast is going to debut here.
How about a channel? Where would they find him?
Instagram, and I almost guarantee that the YouTube channel is going to be Welcome to Rome. But Instagram is Welcome to Rome. Twitter is Welcome to Rome. Facebook, if you look up Romello, you'll probably get him. If not, I'll share it at some point.
Memillo?
Yeah.
Nelson.
It sounded like you were about to slip into the Jello jingle there for a second.
Speaking of, so I got...
Oh, no.
I'm telling everyone, this is a cool find for the summer. There's a giant thing of Jello, like the big mixes that you can get, like the canister. On the side of it, this is the only reason I got it. Strawberry Jello. It had strawberry...
I'm not putting boiling water in my
smoothie mix.
No, not doing it.
It's amazing. You take 1 scoop of the Jello stuff, and then you get a half cup of boiling water, and then a cup of ice, and then a banana, and you put it all in the blender, and it actually comes out just like a smoothie. It like thickens it up just enough. No. He's been having them for a week, and now he's all,
because this time I was going to make this.
Tell.
No. Yeah, but the point is, I'm not putting boiling water in my smoothie. That's just counterproductive. Like, here's.
It's for the Jello part, man.
Here's back-to-back ingredients: 1/4 cup of boiling water, 1 cup of ice cubes. No, I'm not.
Have you never made Jello?
It's an oxymoron.
You require the heat to make it actually start doing its thing, and then the cold stops it.
I'm not mixing boiling water with ice cubes. That's end of story on this.
Spoiled one, but everyone else, just so you know, you can do that.
No, well,
you can make your own amazing smoothies for the summer.
All right, so we're gonna move on to our Gratwick section topic.
Oh, that is Bear.
No scratching.
Wearing the cone of shame still. He's got another 2 weeks to go. Yeah,
so
this week and 1 more week.
Last month we started a monthly topic, and it was going to be across the website and Gratcast and all the other platforms that we were supposed to be juggling here, but I don't got time for that shit. So it's
nobody got time for that.
Yeah, it's a segment here on Gratcast. You can deal with it. Back in July, every week we talked about Gratwick intellectual property, a lot of different stuff that we have for the campaign. Longtime watchers of the past few weeks of Gratcast will notice that Andrew's had this cough endlessly. I'm starting to get back into the highlights clips, and every time I create a highlight, there's a cough in there.
I stopped taking the cough medicine, and that's the problem. Is I know you're supposed to take it until it's actually 100% gone, not till it's almost gone, and I didn't, and now I feel dumb going back on like Mucinex or whatever to get that last bit of crap out. But I know I need to, and I apologize. Everyone.
So for August, the topic is going to be
getting Andrea to stop coughing.
That's a goal for this week.
We've done that, so on to the next thing.
So, restarting the bit again. This month, the topic is going to be access. We're going to be talking about all the different access that you have as a community member and as a future owner of Gratwick Productions and everything that we're building here. So one of the goals is to make this company as transparent as possible. And when we get to a position where we can start funding artists and their projects, one of the stipulations for that is going to be that they need to be transparent and give access, real-time access to the entire creative process from beginning to end of their projects.
Now when you say transparent, yes. What exactly do you mean? Because that could be saying that someone's not working out, and you're being transparent about that by making that press release that you've relieved someone of their job, or
Well,
how we've done it in the past, and you want to do it full blown with Gratwick. How exactly?
well, there's legal operations and things that a company has to do to protect its own.
Intellectual property?
Yeah, but mostly more it's business standing and it's company secrets, so to speak. Like if we're running KFC, total transparency can't really mean like we're going to tell you guys what the KFC recipe is every single day. That can't really be done there. Like so what total transparency means in this situation is whenever there's a creative element happening, a creative meeting, a creative production, a creative project happening, that stuff is going to be documented and most likely and preferably shared in real time, live streamed. And the focus for this week's little share on the Access is live streamed auditions. Andrew, I'm going to let you lay the foundation for this, and I'll chime in.
So, having been in the acting department when I first came out here, one of the things that I did notice is a lot of the auditions don't necessarily happen in a facility that would be appropriate for a casting call. It can be at someone's house. It can be at a restaurant. It can be at a park. Sometimes it's in random buildings where they just kind of got a room and you feel shadier than hell. And you're kind of alone most of the time with 1 to 2 people in the room. It can be awkward. You don't know what to expect. And I'd say 75% of the time there's either one guy or 2 guys auditioning you. And it can feel weird. It can feel uncomfortable, and it's not even because they're putting out a vibe. It's because you're in a situation where...
It's a very vulnerable situation.
Exactly. You don't know the people. You have no obligation to them. They
but
have
you
no
need
obligation
something from
to
them.
you.
You want something from them.
And
they
know
you
you
do.
want something.
Mm-hmm.
And they know they need someone, but it isn't necessarily you, and they've seen how many different people. So there have been a lot of horror stories. Before the Me Too movement came out, there have been, it's even almost a disgusting joke about the casting
It
couch,
absolutely is a joke. Even Toy Story made casting couch jokes.
which now they're re-editing Toy Story 2 and putting it
Oh,
back
you guys
on
caught that
Disney.
one, huh?
Yeah.
We'll take that. We'll take that out.
You guys didn't like that little joke we had of the 2 dolls and the one scary doll saying, "Hey, if you want the gig, though."
Well, we were all laughing to ourselves about that as our own little inside joke, but it's not so inside anymore.
The thing is, it's been a problem for so long that the only way to take that creepiness out and to bring the security of it's a job interview. And that's literally what an audition is. Although everyone forgets it, it's a job interview. It's not just how you deliver the lines, it's how can you react with everyone else that you're going to be working with for a while. And if you feel uncomfortable the moment you walk in, or someone, for whatever reason, gives you a look that makes you feel like something might not be cool, or at one point you're going to be in a bad situation anywhere along the line, you don't need that. Like, it's so easy for so many people just to say screw it after they've given up everything to come out here and try, just because they've been put in enough crappy situations that they're giving up on what they know they can do if they're given the opportunity.
So let's move a little bit away from the negative side. Yes, but
that's the current situation.
The more eyes and the more audience that's participating and watching in on a live stream, the more protection there is for everybody in the room. There can be no false claims. There can be no predatory behavior. It's a win-win for everybody. But on the entertainment side here, let's be honest about what's happening in this room and what the purpose of it is. Every single person that's coming into audition, they're a performer. Their goal is to be an actor. Their goal is to be seen. Their goal is to have a fan base, to have an audience, to hopefully get that role. But for 99.99999% of people that audition for each role, they're not going to get that role. Their performance and their opportunity to act is going to end there in the room until they have another audition. And for a large amount of people, the most performing they're ever going to do is literally in the auditions. And this is an opportunity to gain more exposure for yourself. to gain more opportunities for an audience to see you and click with your personality and your dynamic, to root for you, to see you doing auditions and like your personality and your character and your composure and hope you find that right role for you. But at the same time, it's also an opportunity for other casting directors to see you, other people to get a notice of you and to see your work and to create a reel. A lot of actors have trouble creating a reel. How am I supposed to build a reel when I'm not getting cast in anything and I don't have any shoots? Do I have to pay for my own crew and all of that to do a fake scene? Yeah, that's usually what you're going to end up having to do. But you can now add auditions to your reel if you did good at the audition and it was live streamed out there and there was a copy of it. Are there going to be people that are embarrassed and go viral? Same shit as American Idol. Everybody loves watching the flunkies audition and bail out on American Idol. Some of them will become famous for it. But let's all be honest to each other. If you're a flunky in the audition process to the point that you go viral for being so bad, you probably weren't going to be an actor anyway. So maybe you'll find out a little bit for it, or maybe you'll find out you got a different talent of being a jackass and entertaining people that way. But either way, I think there's nothing but positives and opportunities for more entertainment, more content, more engagement, more audience building, and for people to be discovered for a different role that isn't necessarily the role they were auditioning for, and who knows what kind of talent we're going to discover that way.
I also think being someone who's done the whole calling everyone back home and explaining what you're doing and what auditioning is, it's a chance for your family and friends to actually see what you're really doing. Yeah. Like, everyone has their own idea of, oh, you're auditioning. I've seen Entourage. I know what this must be like. Like, it's the realness behind it, that this is what you do when you walk in and you say hello and they ask you to slate and then you're going to start and you're going to read it again and you're going to get some directions and read it again. And
how many actors would get better just by being able to watch other actors audition all the time?
Or just being able to see what you yourself look like when you enter a room. Like, that's a thing even most acting classes out here don't do. They try and train you how to enter an audition. Like, it is the very first impression. If someone walks in stumbling or talking to someone over their shoulder, they obviously don't care that much. Like,
unless they're auditioning for Kramer.
Things. There you go. Not everyone
stumble
can be
into the room.
But that is one of the things that we're doing, and we plan on continuing doing as we go further with more productions and with our own private productions, is we would like everyone to be able to see what we're doing. There is a time a few years ago we did this where we tried ahead of everyone on live streaming the auditions, and we didn't stop the camera in between people, so everyone was able to see us. If you were there before your audition, you could log in and see other people audition beforehand. You could hear the notes we were giving each other on what we really liked about someone, about if they could have said it like this. Yeah. And it gives you a heads up to know what is expected, what people want after they've heard multiple things. Because at the beginning of the day, you think you want something, but after you've heard 12 people say it, you realize maybe it needs to be delivered a little differently, and it's almost better to come at the end of the day.
You know what else goes away? You know what else goes away as well? All the cruel little comments that the casting directors and assistant directors make in the audition room. Oh, you'd be perfect for the role if you only lost 5 more pounds.
We're looking for someone less ethnic. Less ethnic, but your character description didn't say any ethnicity whatsoever. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of off-the-cuff comments that are completely and utterly inappropriate that get mentioned in a casting call, and it has nothing to do with sexual behavior.
And there are a lot of times where the person who's doing the casting isn't necessarily the director who's going to make the final decision. They make the first cut through, which also means the casting director could have blown it entirely, and there could have been someone amazing who they personally just didn't feel it for. This, by doing live auditions, also gives a chance for other creators or the actual creator who's going to be shooting it to take a look again. It doesn't all have to be up to someone else's decision. And if you get enough views, whoever is running the show is probably going to double check on that audition just to go, who the heck is getting all the views?
All right, dear. Let's move on to the meat and potatoes of this episode.
We have potatoes and meat? Oh, my.
Yep. So, I was going to make a cough joke there, but I was going to give you a pass on one. So, This week, one of the other things that happened is the FBI came out and warned people that conspiracy. Hold on, I didn't set this code up.
Sorry.
Get that off screen. So the FBI has come out and warned people that conspiracy theories are the next domestic terrorism threat. And in their article warning people about the scourge of conspiracy theories, they had this little gem on screen. The FBI said, another factor driving the intensity of this threat is the uncovering of real conspiracies or cover-ups involving illegal, harmful, or unconstitutional activities by government officials or leading political figures. The FBI does not specify which political leaders or which cover-ups it was referring to, but the point of the matter is, the ones that spread the fastest just so happen to be true. Oh, but this is we're the conspiracy theorists are the new domestic terrorist. Okay. So
I'm gonna join you in a second. Sorry, everyone. I have something seriously ouch in my eye.
You're a mess this episode.
Oh, you have no idea. No idea, everyone. I will be back in a second. Kris, tell about the conspiracies.
So this list we're supposed to go back and forth with on here was supposed to be I say one, she says one. We have a little banter about each one. But I've been hung out to dry here on live TV, so I guess I'm just gonna wing it and have no sounding board on this. It's like David Stay up in here now. I gotta carry my own show. I don't even have a K to banter with. All right, so the list of conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. The reason we're running down this list is because every single item on this list you can research and find out on your own is actually been proven to be a true conspiracy theory. It started out as a conspiracy theory, started out with whispers, but eventually the shit hit the fan and it all came out and it turned out to be a true conspiracy theory. Now, the reason I'm running off this list is because if we continue to move forward down this road of policing speech and censorship and all this crap and conspiracy theorists are the next target, and they're causing all sorts of trouble. When you over-police lies, you can hide an awful lot of inconvenient truths along with those lies that are getting shut down. And that's a much greater threat than some jackass running around saying shit that's not true. Like I said, if I go around telling people the sky's purple, nobody's going to freaking listen to me. They're all going, it's another crazy person wandering the streets. So you can't stop people from saying nonsense, but you can stop people from talking about the truth by policing nonsense. Here we go. Smallpox blankets given to Native Americans. Yeah. Oh, we go way back with the conspiracy theories. So one of the ways to wipe out the Native Americans is we gave them disease blankets. Classy. Another one. The Iran-contra scandal. Oh, you want to dig down these rabbit holes. There's plenty of we sold weapons to the bad guys conspiracy theories out there that have all turned out to be true. This being one of the biggest ones. Here's one that I wasn't aware of until doing my research for this. The government poisoned alcohol during Prohibition. The crazy part of this is alcohol manufacturers prior to Prohibition were poisoning the alcohol to begin with. The government came along during Prohibition and said, hey, can you crank up the poison a couple notches? We want to kill the people that are drinking. So I'm going to go ahead and, you know what? I'm going to leave this quote up on screen while we go through all these damn things because it's fitting that we're talking about conspiracy theories that are true while they've got their little quote here. So, are you coming back now?
I'm coming back. Contact had to come out.
Are you a pirate now?
Hurt as a mofo.
This isn't the yin and the yang that I was hoping for.
No, I know.
Blowing through these.
I know.
All right.
Sorry, everyone. As you can see, what the hell? I have no idea. Something was in my eye, and contact had to come out. Ow.
Okay, so I'm gonna take the next one just so you can have the one after that's more up your alley.
Okay.
So we just finished telling people about how the government told the alcohol manufacturers to crank up the poison levels that they were putting in the alcohol to kill off people that were illegally drinking during Prohibition. The next one, MK Ultra and LSD mind control experiments. Now, the LSD experiments are actually just the surface of MK Ultra. But yeah, your government, for decades, they say they shut it down, but for decades was doing all types of mind control experiments. The fluoride in the water is actually from a mind control experiment that started with the Nazis. I mean, we're talking conspiracy theories. There's only so far you can go before we end up getting to Nazis. But yeah, fluoride in the water. That's where that came from. All right, dear, you've got the next one.
The FBI spied on John Lennon.
Yes.
Everyone tried to pretend that they were all crazy and Yoko is just Yoko.
You guys are paranoid.
Yoko. No, they're not. No, they were. They very much were. Yeah.
Turns out the government spied and created files on pretty much every counterculture icon and leader in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Thanks, J. Edgar.
Wonder if they followed Elvis. Was he considered counterculture?
Oh yeah. Anyone that had a huge public influence, Hoover was spying on to get dirt on them and make sure that they played ball how he needed them to.
And then, of course, there was the whole, the government is spying on us.
Well, you just show up and now you're cutting
I
them?
am.
All right, well, fine. Yeah, the government spies on us.
And you know how we know? Because Snowden told us. And then the government got pissed at him.
There he is. Yeah.
There are the drones.
The irony is,
Right
there was people telling us before him, and nobody wanted to hear them either. He at least was smart enough to bring the evidence with him to prove it.
Remember when we had X-Files and everyone just said it was all a joke? Just, oh, the government doesn't care, it's not watching, it's not up to anything bad. No, it was up to everything bad.
There was actually
everything.
a conspiracy theory in the first season of X-Files that was proven to be true, and I didn't include it on the list because it was too minor.
Nothing is too minor.
So apparently the smoking man rips up some money and points out the metal strip in it, and that the government...
not the running, no.
The smoking man.
It wasn't him. He would never have done that. It was the lone gunman.
Okay, I thought that was the same person.
No,
my bad.
Smoking man's bad. The three gunmen are the cool three
okay.
sidekicks.
So anyway, the metallic strip in the money. Supposedly they're able to track you with the metal strip in the money and can literally count how much money you have in your pocket based on the
like every
the
time
metal
you
strips.
Go through any sensor, any like gun detection thing. That's how they're finding you. They know how much money you're taking with you everywhere you go. When you go out of town, when you go on a plane. So
there's a whole bunch that fall under these next two. So I'm just gonna read them off and classify. The Gulf of Tonkin was a battle or an ambush that actually never happened based on what admirals have testified to. And
where was the Battle of Tonkin?
In Tonkin.
Tonkin where?
I don't know. Somewhere over in the Vietnam area because it was what dragged us in.
It's not like Tonkin, Mississippi?
No, it's a big bath of water. So that's what dragged us into the Vietnam War. Then you had the weapons of mass destruction that dragged us into Iraq. That was a conspiracy theory passed by the government.
That one didn't even make sense to be going after Iraq anyway, because we were...
Well, that's why we had to say they had weapons of mass destruction, dear. So the government created their own conspiracy theory. They created their own conspiracy theory there, and they pushed that around until everybody believed it. So if we're talking about domestic terrorism based on passing around false conspiracy theories, I think the biggest one that's been passed around is the weapons of mass destruction. And...
they proved later on there was nothing there.
Pretty much every war we've gotten dragged into started with something that has the sniffs of a false flag. There is actually, depending on how far down the rabbit hole you want to dig, there's evidence out there that we pulled the goalie for Pearl Harbor. We knew they were coming in.
Yeah, that one's not a happy one either.
The sports leagues were all paid for acts of patriotism. All that flag waving, giant 50-yard flags, and the national anthem, and all of the stuff before the baseball game. Yeah, that's all mass propaganda. That's all "Yay America" to get the masses all reciting the same stuff, just like we used to do in school with the Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah, that's not voluntary patriotism.
Okay, I don't know what this one is that you found. You explain this one.
Well, if you want to put it out there, I'll go ahead and explain it.
Hitler's skull belongs to a young woman.
Oh yeah. So we had the bones of Hitler for all these years. We got Hitler died in a bunker. We've got his skull over there, man. Of course Hitler died in the bunker. We've got DNA testing now. You think I can get a crack at that skull for a second or two? Sure. Yeah, buddy, that's a female skull. That's not Hitler. So there's no confirmed kill on Hitler in the bunker. And oh, by the way, another conspiracy theory that turned out to be true. The CIA has documents that they were looking for and tracking Hitler as late as the late 50s.
In Brazil or Argentina?
Somewhere
Somewhere in South America.
The whole South American region.
I'm sure they moved around quite a bit.
The Nazis are always up to no good. The Catholic Church spent decades covering up the extent of the child abuse scandals.
Yep.
Almost like it was institutionalized. Oh my God, with the coffin! Jesus!
Jimmy Savile and the British pedophile ring.
Yep. For years and years and years, people said, hey man, I think there's some pedophiles in Parliament, and I think they're protecting this Jimmy Savile guy. This guy was a child entertainer. Well, it's always the ones that are like Pied Pipers for children. They're always the Pied Pipers for children.
Was he a child entertainer or was he a child manager? He
was a child entertainer. He was like a human clown almost from the pictures and stuff I saw of him. But yeah, he did like children's entertainment, and he's actually Epstein might take this title down by the time all the dust settles, but Jimmy Savile is actually the world record holder for the most known prolific pedophile that's ever existed. Yeah, there's a great title for you.
Gross.
The CIA ran, and maybe still does, a large drug trafficking enterprise.
American Made kind of made that one outed right there. Tom
That's
Cruise
such a joke.
was
We
in
make
the
a movie about it. Yeah. That's how far that conspiracy theory went from y'all are crazy, don't talk about that stuff, you're spreading lies, to it's a Tom Cruise movie now, we're just talking about it and all that type of stuff.
No, it'll seem like fiction.
Anybody want to take a wild guess on whose jurisdiction this whole CIA drug operation ran through?
Believe it's a BC.
Yeah.
Billy.
BC with some brackets around him. Get what I'm saying?
I don't like this one.
You can jump on this one.
I don't like this one.
Yeah, you're one of the dupes that fell for this.
I didn't fall for it.
Oh, you fell for it.
Big Tobacco knew that cigarettes cause cancer. They knew that the additional chemicals they were adding to make the cigarettes continue to actually smoke down faster were addictive and cause cancer. Did they know that the plant of tobacco does? No, the plant of tobacco, not so much. But the additional additives that you put in there totally do, and they knew that one, and they lied.
The only surprise there is the government didn't ask them to increase the additives.
Make it so that so many people died and they'd have to stop.
Another great one. We talked about this last week, I think. Mm-hmm. Contaminated polio vaccines spread cancer-causing viruses.
Yep.
Don't know why people are afraid of vaccinations. I'm not saying that vaccinations are bad, but I'm saying there's at least some ground in proven conspiracy theories for people to be skeptical.
It's a good time to have a friend who's a biologist, who's in the whole science department, and have them just take a look at stuff before you put it in your body or your child's body.
Go buy yourself some pH paper and start dipping that shit.
Just, you know.
When's the last time you heard
about
a
little microscope?
A good stack of pH paper.
Just check and see what's in there.
All right. One of my personal favorites. If you ask me, this is kind of the crown jewel of American conspiracy theories that turned out to be true, and also the grandfather of pretty much every other conspiracy theory that's come after them all. Operation Paperclip. Yeah, let's just go hold a secret fantasy draft for Nazi scientists, change their names, bring them all over here, give them CIA identities and leadership positions in our government, research programs, and law enforcement.
And let them have access to classified material.
Nothing will go wrong with that.
That sounds smart. And then in about, 5-10 years, everyone will forget who they were before, and they can get away with just as much bad stuff, just sneakier this time.
Well, you know what they can get away with? They can get away with Operation Mockingbird, which is where the CIA tried to take over the media. And some would say, what we're looking at today with the mainstream media and fake news and all that stuff is the result of our fourth pillar of government, the fourth estate, getting hijacked by the CIA. Yeah, it's documented, folks. They got people all the way up to the editors, the highest levels of media and print, and influenced what the stories were. The 4 a.m. talking points.
I wonder if that has anything to do with what's going on now with the gigantic merger of the two companies, Gannett Magazine and is it Water something? I just saw it, but it has now created the largest publisher and distributor of newspapers in the entire country. It has like 260 some newspapers that it controls.
Yeah. The consolidation of all of the news and media and print and press, all of these things is all part of the climbing up to the top of the food train and executing their agenda. Get it all under the same puppet strings.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what William Hearst did too.
Yeah. Well,
he owned so many that he got to have his message across, that when he wanted a certain candidate to win, he had every one of his newspapers say everything the way he wanted it slanted.
That's why Amazon bought the Washington Post. It's pretty much freaking all Amazon propaganda now. Operation Northwood. Oh, look at this. Another documented false flag plan. Called for a series of false flags, domestic terrorism, that could be blamed on Cuba to give us an excuse for regime change in Cuba.
Was this back in the JFK day?
Oh, absolutely it was. Yeah.
Bay of Pigs?
While George Bush wasn't running the CIA. That's when that happened.
I bet it was one of his ideas, though.
Another
Operation Popeye. That is when they started messing with the weather and seeding clouds to create rain, which I think if we all have watched Butterfly Effect, or at least heard of the Butterfly Effect, you affect one thing, it affects everywhere else. You mess with weather, dude, you mess with everyone's weather. We're on a globe. It's a circle.
Weather manipulation is probably my favorite one on this list. And here's why. Because the way this one became documented as true, it just blows my mind. So, 80s. Oh, I think the government manipulates the weather, or they're trying. No, that's insane. The 90s. Have you guys heard about this HARP thing? I'm pretty sure HARP is trying to do weather manipulation stuff. No, there's no way. Then finally, in the 2000s, I just read an article in the general mainstream media. Oh, we're cloud seeding now to create some rain in some drought zones. Just in passing.
They said it on the news.
Yeah, we're weather
watched
manipulating.
It on the new news. It said it. That, oh, did you see that rain today out of nowhere? That's because HARP was doing some experiments. Looks like they can make rain. Said it so casually.
Here's another one. This is my favorite one. One of the experiments HARP was up to, and this is another true one. They're just poking holes in the ionosphere just to see what happens. Yeah, we're gonna shoot a freaking focused beam of energy up into the ionosphere and just create a hole there and record some notes and track the stuff as the ionosphere, see how long it closes. Let's just keep doing that until it doesn't close anymore. And then, then we're going to be surprised when space radiation starts leaking into our ozone and our atmosphere and all this other stuff.
And I'm not surprised that would speed up global warming right there. Like, they're not doing it over where people are. They're doing it over the poles, which is where all of our glaciers are now melting. And all the animals are dying because there's nowhere for them to live that they're used to.
It's the same thing with the CERN thing. Let's just start smashing atoms together that we think, theoretically, is what causes black holes, and let's see if we're right. We'll know we're right when a big giant black hole opens up.
Until then, though,
we're
just trying to get there.
I said this a while back, but we've reached a point in technology where there are certain things that are being publicly acknowledged and publicly disclosed that they're being experimented on, explored, researched, and there's no positive social need or impact for any of these things. There's nothing but pain and suffering that the end results of these experimentations will result in. Let's keep monkeying around with them, see where it goes.
And then there's the CIA that created a heart attack weapon?
Oh, yeah.
Is this like what you see on Gross Point Blank, the one that John Cusack has, where it goes down, that like liquid that was supposed to fall in the dude's mouth when he was asleep, but it doesn't, it hits his cheek, and so then he has got to run?
No.
It's supposed to make it look like he had a heart attack.
No, they can basically shoot you with an imperceptible pinprick that will cause you to have a heart attack, and it's untraceable assassination. Again, another great product that there's all sorts of positive social impact and needs for this type of stuff.
How else are you going to have a coup?
And then the last one. Our government's now casually acknowledging that they don't know what the fuck UFOs are.
Isn't that kind of what unidentified means?
Yeah, but forever they were saying, no. There's nothing up there that is unidentified. We know every single damn thing that's up there. Really? Because we've got some dashboard footage from one of your F-15s that's chasing the shit out of something crazy that none of us have ever seen before. Yeah, about that, we don't know what the fuck that is. We've been studying this stuff for a while. We don't really have any answers. Yeah, that's where we're finally at on the alien disclosure stuff is. We're not saying aliens are real, but we're saying we don't know what the hell that is up there and we can't replicate it.
I'd like the government to issue an apology for trying to cover up the Area 51 finding. Like, the first day they tell the truth about what it is, the next day it's a weather balloon. How would you apologize for the weather balloon hoax? Like, just as simple, we didn't know how to handle it, one person lied, we didn't know how to come out of the lie.
Emily, if you're out there listening, you can call in now for Emily's Corner, and we can get that queued up and rolling. But yeah, so there's tons more out there, and I'm not saying to just take everything we've said here as gospel. There's a lot of crazy shit we just listed off here and ran down. Stumble down these rabbit holes. They're gonna take you to other places, and I'm telling you right now, you're not gonna want to go where those places are, because there's a lot of things that were. You can't say that. That's a conspiracy theory. You're crazy for talking about that stuff. That's lunatic. Our government would never do that. And turns out, they're all right. So again, if there's not a checks and balances system here where we can speculate on whatever the hell we want to speculate on, and if there's smoke there, we can follow that to wherever it leads. Then again, we live in a society where the truth no longer exists. The truth is what we're told it is when you get to a point where you can't even explore conspiracy theories. And on that note, we've got Emily popping in for Emily's Corner.
Hi, Emily. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Woohoo! All right,
Emily. Good news. We've got your whole frame on camera today. You don't have to stuff yourself into the upper left-hand corner.
Yeah, and I can actually hold it like where I can see you guys. Before I had to like face it so that it was like the rear-facing camera. For some reason, it just wouldn't work front-facing camera. For some reason today, it's working front-facing camera, so I'm happy.
Yay! Technology is our friend today. Woo-hoo.
So Emily, when last we left off, you had some dramatic things playing out in the workplace.
Tell us.
And we want to get into this gossip.
Tell me.
Okay, so to start it off, a couple of months ago, I got my new position as QA, quality assurance. And so basically, I check other people's work to make sure they're doing it right.
Very cool.
So
you don't have to fix it. You just have to point out if they're fucking up, right? Like you don't.
Yeah, because if I fix it, it's gonna the record's gonna look correct before they get to see that it was wrong.
Gotcha.
So you're kind of like the office version of internal affairs.
No, she's got Creed's job, but she actually does Creed's job from The Office. Remember Creed was quality assurance?
Well, I wasn't really
never did it though.
I wasn't necessarily referencing The Office show. I was just like the office environment's version of internal affairs.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, tell us your. Tell me. I want to know.
Okay, so I'm really good at finding things. Like I love puzzles and stuff. I'm good at my job basically. Well, apparently I'm too good.
Making everybody else look bad.
So there is a coworker who I scored their records, and they got a 91%. And in order to not be written up, you're supposed to get a 93 or above.
Or we demand perfection.
Okay.
Right? So usually what happens is the team lead will take them and go over the QA and like go over each error so they can learn. And I always tell them if there's an error you want, something you want to fight me, to get a point back, or maybe, I'm not seeing it the way you did. I'm always willing to listen to them and to give points back.
Yeah. Make your case.
Right. So I'm a reasonable person. So, the day that this person was getting talked to by the team lead going over their errors, she comes over and there's one other QA person. She comes over and grabs the other QA person saying, "Can I get your opinion on this?" Well, me being the one that had done the QA originally stands up and was like, "I want to, if she's got another opinion, maybe I did something wrong. I want to hear it."
Yeah.
This person with the most bitchiest, biggest attitude ever basically was like, "No, I just want them to like come over." And I'm like trying not to give my own attitude because I'm a calm person, but even I was like,
is the person the team leader or the person who you judge their work who's saying that they want the other QA person?
The person who I judged.
Oh, it's not even the team leader. The person who they judge, so they can go to dad and tell dad that mom's not being fair. Dad, make her be fair.
Right.
You say I can do it. Seriously? So what happens when someone tries to pull that, though? Do you go to the team leader and say, "Hey, guess what? That person failed, and now I'm not giving them back a point again. Now they're down to 85 points. Screw them, fired."
If I was the quality assurance that was handling the appeals process, I'd make sure they got 2 points less. You'd come in at an 89 now.
Like, at least have the strength and humility to go up to the person who judged you and say, "Can I have you look at this again? Because I think I misunderstood the question, or maybe you don't know how I thought about it." But seriously,
right, and that's what and that's what it's usually supposed to be, is that they call me over, but they grab the other QA person. I was like, "I want your opinion on this." Now, this record was a messed up record. Before I actually turned in my QA, I asked the other QA person for their opinion to make sure that I was doing it right.
Okay.
So I go over to the desk, So
they wanted to appeal to the person that gave you the advice on how to do it right?
Yeah. So I go over there and they're like, "Oh, it's for this record." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I already asked her for the opinion, so I know what it is." So I go to sit back down because it was a rough day.
Yeah.
And I didn't care for the attitude she had given me.
Hell yeah.
So I can hear her bitching, fighting, complaining to get points back for this record. And I'm starting to feel bad for the other QA person. I'm starting to feel bad for the team lead. And so it's like 15 minutes later, the other QA person comes back over looking exhausted and just over it. And I'm like, "She wants her points back, doesn't she?" She's like, "Yeah." She's like, I almost want to just give it back to her so she'd shut up.
That's what she's hoping for. Yeah, she's just trying
to... That's when you go to the boss and say, "This is someone who's incompetent. They're so incompetent, they're going to fight over it instead of learn how to do it correctly. Fuck you.
Right.
You're done. You're at your desk. No one likes you here. You smell funny."
So I was feeling bad for the team lead and her, and I'm like, "There's two ways I could have QA'd this. The one way I did, where she got 5 points wrong because I feel she picked the wrong location. It was a school, and originally the record didn't have a physical address to begin with. And she happened to pick a different school than I think was actually the one. So the original record was Marin Day, Mill Valley, Pre-K. Okay. She decided to pick the school that was EDS Old Mill School.
She totally fucked it up.
Now, so I found another school in the Marin Day school. They're both Marin Day schools. There is an actual Marin Day school, Mill Valley, that had a preschool program. So I think she should have picked the Mill Valley school over the Old Mill school.
Yeah, it's in the name.
So now they were both in the Mill Valley city. So, and there was no physical address to begin with, and the phone number we had on hand didn't match anything. So I thought she picked the wrong school. So the only other option she could have done was not picked either, because you couldn't tell unless, you went with Mill Valley and so she could have done a TI, meaning technical issue, saying like there's a web presence, but we can't decide which one it is.
And the option of just calling the number isn't there as a call the number and ask them what's your address. You guys forgot to include that in your order.
No, we're data entry only. We web research, so we don't have to make the phone calls.
How do we get this bitch fired?
Right. Oh, it gets better. So I decide, because I'm tired of it's been like 30 minutes and I'm feeling sorry for the other QA person and the T lead. I'm like, you know what? The only other thing I will do is, she still marked it wrong, but I'll give her the one wrong point instead of the 5 wrong points, meaning she should have picked a TI instead of changing it at all. So changing the points, she's still marking her wrong, but instead of 5 wrong points, she got 1 wrong point for this one record. She still had other errors, but so changing this got her score from a 91 to a 93, meaning she wouldn't be written up.
She's just scraping by.
But she should now be.
Yeah.
She should now be written up for the temper tantrum.
So the QA person comes back over after telling her, and she goes, she's now happy because she won't be written up. And I'm like, fine. I'm like, she got what she wanted. Move on. Let's move on. We got other shit to do. So that was July 18th.
Okay.
And
oh no.
For the next 2 weeks, I finally ended up talking to someone last week on Thursday. So for 2 weeks, this agent decided to go around and start complaining about me and my styles of QA. Telling people
you could hear her bitching to the other QA because of her fucking fuck up. She decided to bitch about you in the office loud enough for you to hear from another part, and then she has the follow-up huevos to act like she can do it again every day?
But of course she...
oh my God, go to HR!
Okay. But if... But of course she's going to go around and piss and moan because she was validated by bitching long enough to get the score changed and not get written up. She felt like she was now the moral high ground and see, I told you all along it was right, and got her way. So now you're the problem. Had management backed you up and stood behind you the correct correct way, she would know she was in the wrong. And hey, take the hit this time. Do better next time. As simple as that.
Right.
It's done and moved on.
Has she been written up before?
But now she's validated, and that makes it even worse.
Yeah, she'd never been written up before. So she could have handled the written up. It wouldn't have gotten her fired or anything.
How often do you guys have to review their stuff?
Morgan wants to know how old this bitch is.
Older than me. I'd say she's got, I'd say in her 40s.
She's old enough to know better. Most definitely old enough to know better.
Is her name Becky?
No.
It's always the Beckys.
I'm like, does someone know? I'm like, oh shit, we have a coworker of yours watching right now.
Her name's Becky now.
So, yeah, for the next 2 weeks, she's like going around saying I'm a nitpicker. She's complaining about how I QA, that her QA scores wasn't this low before I started, and
does she
just going on.
That's why you have the job and whoever used to doesn't anymore because they weren't doing their job right? I'm gonna fucking kick someone in the virtual cunt.
Get out of the graffiti.
Oh.
You're burying your face in the graffiti.
Okay,
so
you're telling me I'm totally on your side.
So then, I'm friends with some of my coworkers on Facebook, and I noticed that one of them
we got a group chat about this bitch. If so,
we're very bad. We're interrupting you so much. We're way too into the story. Okay, so you're on Facebook. One of your coworker friends.
I I noticed. Okay, so this agent used to come up on my recommended friends, but I
Becky.
never like friended her.
Becky.
Becky, yeah, we'll call her Becky. Okay, Becky used to come up as a recommended friend, and so I have this other friend that I am friends with on Facebook, and I noticed that she posted something and it had a comment, and when I went to go read what somebody posted, I couldn't see it. So my first thing was, I know that she's friends with Becky. And I'm like, my first thing was, she fucking blocked me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she could
So
talk
I
shit.
So
I went to go
couldn't fucking tell her when she's being unprofessional and can get fired for that because a lot of places do now. Okay,
So-
keep going.
Morgan has suggested we issue a code red in the parking lot.
Oh, this woman. Okay, keep going. Becky's in my bad
So-
books.
So I searched for her Facebook and I realized I can't find it anymore. So she blocked me on Facebook. We weren't even Facebook friends. She blocked me on Facebook
She
so
had to
I
track
couldn't add
you
her.
down in order to block you because you weren't even talking to her in the
Mhm.
first place.
You know how much of a professional at talking shit you have to be to go block somebody before you start talking
No,
shit
you know how
about
much
them?
of a coward you have to be to know that you're going to be doing some shady ass shit that'll get you fired.
You know
That
how
a
fired up you
human
have to be to
resource-
charge over somebody else's
That's what
one-liner
you
and
do.
take
You
it
tell
down?
the human resources department, they'll look it up and they'll see what she's saying about you because that is still not allowed. You can't talk shit about your coworkers, especially if you're doing it about someone who's a superior.
To me, all of this behavior validates why she was under a 93 in the first place, and it all validates why you got to get rid of the malcontent, because there's just going to be a cancer that's going to continue to find other malcontents in the office to bitch and complain to, and that cancer is going to grow.
Okay, so you've discovered that this horrible person has decided to block you out of nowhere.
So it's AP.
You didn't even do anything.
It's AP bio time here. How are we going to get your
No,
rival?
I wanna hear the rest of the story.
We're going to concoct
Shush
a way
it.
to take down your
Let
rival.
me listen to the story. Tell me the story.
So
Maybe I should go
my
pick someone out
friend-
here.
You do it.
so my friend messages me. And now
Out
she
of the
she's
graffiti.
was friends with Becky. She was
Okay.
friends with Becky.
Mm.
And so she kept me updated on like when Becky would talk about me. So she messages me and says, Becky just texted me this. So Becky texted my
You
friend,
got to tell her, get the screenshots.
Shoot it.
Get the screenshots.
Shoot it.
said
Print that
she
out. and
thinks
bring it
she's
to
all
her
high
at
and
work.
mighty. She thinks she's all high and mighty. Shit, she knows she was wrong. That's why she's been avoiding me. Shaking my head. So like something like, and I'm like,
Me
I do
too.
not think I'm high and mighty. I'm like, I'm like the least high and mightiest person.
Because you're
Shit
no.
She
This is
knows she was wrong
Emily.
about.
Emily.
Bitch! You were wrong
Hold
in
on,
the first
hold-
place. That's how you got points taken away. You still didn't do
Hold
it
up.
right.
Hold
You're
up.
still wrong, even when
Hold
I
up.
give you less wrong points.
This is exactly why I compared you to internal affairs at the start of the story.
No, you need internal
As
affairs.
long as you're stuck in a position where you're holding other employees accountable, you're always going to be the bad guy to the crappy employees, because they can't be the problem. They're most certainly never going to be the problem. So it's always going to be the person that's holding them accountable. Just like if I'm a cop and I'm on the take, and internal affairs is all up my ass. That's these scumbag traitor and internal affairs guys coming after a cop just out here trying to do his job. And I'm going to completely never acknowledge the fact that I'm stealing every chance I can. And that's why they're on my ass.
So,
Case in point.
so what have you done? Like, is there an HR person there? Or is there just your
Yes.
boss?
So after that, and she says that I know that I was wrong, and she said that I was avoiding her, which she's actually been avoiding me. She no longer comes over to me to ask me questions
Can't get
about
proof of it
records.
with the block.
Oh, that must hurt. Oh, no.
She literally goes, like, she goes to the other QA person, or if the other QA person isn't there, she goes to the team lead, and the team lead ends up usually having to come to me and try to explain the question so I can answer it.
Well, at least you got a
And
buffer.
I'm the one avoiding her.
You got a
Yeah.
Becky buffer.
So so it was Tuesday, or no, it was Wednesday, last Wednesday.
Mhm.
My QA team lead, he's been gone. He's had some medical issues, and so he
Probably
was
from
there,
Becky
and I
driving
explained the
insane.
situation to him. and I explained the situation to him, and I go, I'm going to give it a couple more days, and if she doesn't stop, I'm going to go tell our supervisor, the HR person and such.
Yeah.
So literally later that day on Wednesdays, we all get together for team building and play Uno or just talk.
Cool.
So I didn't go, and I had 3 people come to me after Uno and say that she was talking shit about me. And I'm like,
was she working it into
she
the?
did it in front of people at work.
What did she?
Yes.
Did she do it in the context of Uno jokes? Like, did she drop a reverse and say to the person who's going to go next, "I'm going to ignore you. Like your name is Emily." Bam. Or I'm going to skip you like I skipped Emily's review. Or like that. See, I'd have a little more respect for her if she was at least. And it's ridiculous she's going out of her way to talk shit during Uno, but if she's at least working.
No, it's ridiculous that she's even doing it at the workplace about her fucking superior when she's the one who messed up. So tell me when they told you that you went straight to HR. Immediately to HR. Like, you dragged them with you as the witnesses and said, tell them what you just told me. Tell me you did that.
So my QA team lead was gone by that time because we play Uno later in the day. So I waited till Thursday morning. I told him, and then I went to the HR supervisor with my team lead and told her what's been going on for the past 2 weeks. She was very shocked, she couldn't believe it, and she said that she was wrong and she shouldn't have gotten points back anyway. And I told her the reason why I gave her the point. It was still wrong. She still got my wrong, but less wrong.
The whole time.
Right. I told her everything.
Good.
All of that.
Yeah, I told her everything. And then I told her a couple of the names of the agents that had talked to me and had heard her saying crap about me. So then she went to go talk to those 2 agents and make sure to hear what they had said.
Exaggerated.
So do we get Becky
right.
So come on.
So
this is a good part.
So the supervisor had mentioned that she would probably be getting written up for this. And in my head, I thought it was kind of ironic. Yeah. This all started because she didn't want to be written up for the low score.
And now she's going to be written up for something much more serious.
Should have just let it go. Mm-hmm. Right. And now she didn't let it go. She just kept harping on it. And I believe she got written up. I'm not sure. Later that day, she did take her.
If I was issuing that write-up, I would have followed it up with, and because we have to write you up for your conduct from this, we're also retroactively fixing the retroactively fixed score.
That was going to be my next question.
You're now back to a 91 again.
Since they did agree that she shouldn't have gotten those points back, did they put it back to the original 91? So she got a write-up for not doing her job correctly, and then a second write-up for being an awful human being who shouldn't be around others? Did she get 2 of them or just 1?
She just got the 1. I no longer am doing her QAs either. We got a couple of new QA people. And one of them is ready to go. She wants Becky to start something with her because she's one that doesn't Becky take crap. And
she already heard what Becky did to you, and she was not too pleased about it.
Oh yeah, she was ready. I had a few coworkers that were ready to start something, and I had to tell them no, don't get involved. I'm I'm gonna talk to. So I'm because I had. The other QA person, one of the people that overheard something, the one that was, I have a lot of good friends at work, luckily that back me up.
So you got a bunch of friends that would back you up for Code Red in the parking lot.
Yes.
Hell yeah. Hi, Chris Fortin. He is totally on your side. I believe it's a he. Yes. Says screw them.
Yeah, screw Becky.
Becky sucks. I'm just saying, Becky shouldn't work there anymore. After that, no. Becky is on her last warning. Were you going to have to check her stuff again if you didn't get new QA people? Would you have wound up having to do her shit again in a week anyway, so she's dumb to be starting shit with the person who's been greater?
No, luckily the other QA person said that she would take care. She would have done it. Either way, they were understanding of me not wanting to do it anymore, just because I just didn't want to deal with it.
Dude, I would have done it so hard. I would have fined. You got 50, bitch.
How many write-ups does it take to get fired at this place?
I believe 3.
I mean, we're all playing on baseball rules here, is what it should be. So
in our mind, she's only got 1 left.
She should have been at 2, but she's at 1. So at the very least, we've got to get some karmic retribution here and get her to the 2 that she should have been. So she's walking on thin ice. So between now and next Emily's Corner, I want some strategies hypothesized here on how we're going to bring retribution to Becky.
I think she's gonna wind up doing it to herself, especially now that everyone's aware that she's mega bitch. Was she like that before? Like to anyone before?
No, like we not to me. Like we were friendly. Like when we'd clock out, we'd go stand in the parking lot and talk about stuff. Like we were friendly. Like she'd come to me and ask questions. And over one bad QA, all of this shit has happened.
No, not one bad QA. 2%.
No.
So
over her bad testing.
But
she fucked up the test, not you. You didn't do anything wrong grading. She didn't do it right. If you don't answer a question correctly, you're wrong. She's not a millennial. She's in her 40s. She went to school when an F was an F.
You just hijacked my entire
moment. Yeah.
She exposed her character and the fact that she's willing to sacrifice her character over 2 measly %. That's the type of morality and type of person you're dealing with there.
Who the hell still goes on Facebook and then bitches about other people?
That's all anybody does on Facebook.
Literally, who does?
Literally, that's all anybody does on Facebook.
You don't bitch about an actual person. You bitch about the idea behind stuff. You don't.
I just.
She's an adult. She knows better. My God.
I'm impressed by the fact she knew better enough to block the person she was about to talk shit about before she talked shit about them.
And that makes me think she does it a lot. If she already knew
she's
that was her game plan.
She's a pro.
So
who am I going to bitch about? I'll never be friends with them now. Be like, yep.
So the real fun end of this story is that the friend that told me what she had texted about how I'm high and mighty, she blocked her as well. Becky blocked that person.
Becky's creating
I want everyone to block Becky. I want the entire workplace to block her and have her try and reach out and be like, what? Be like, yeah, it doesn't feel good, does it? You're a troublemaker. No one likes you.
Becky's going to find herself in a little tight room if she keeps building that echo chamber. Okay, Emily.
There's a closet they can shove her in to take phone calls from.
What is on tap for next week on Emily's Corner?
I have no idea.
The follow-up.
Let's see. What am I doing this weekend? What am I doing this weekend? I might be seeing Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Have we seen the trailer for that one? Who's in that one?
I have no idea who's in it, but I used to read those stories when I was kids. I still have the original 3 books.
Is that like the R.L. Stine? Is that one?
He's not the one that did it, but it's called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and there was 3 books, and now they made a movie about it. It's Del Toro is doing it.
Okay. Benicio?
Okay.
You've not heard anything about this.
I have not, but I am a big fan of Benicio del Toro.
No, not Benicio. No, not Del Toro.
I like the idea.
Gamira. Oh my God, what's his name? The one that did Shape of a Water or whatever.
Oh, the one about the fish dude who has sex with the lady?
Yeah. Spoilers, I've never seen it.
It shows on the trailer. So, just so you know, when they're all running around, that's
I know. Whoever made that is making Scary Story. I can't think of his name right now. Guillermo, right? Guillermo? I don't remember.
We'll call him from now on.
Not Benicio.
I like Benicio though.
Okay, Emily. I've heard a rumor you've got a tight bedtime tonight, so
Becky's ruining your sleep.
We're gonna let you go here.
It's been very stressful.
We're looking forward to a review next week and maybe an amendment to the Becky story.
An update, maybe she'll be gone.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, everybody cold shoulders her at work. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Emily, for another excellent Emily's Corner. You got
Thank
Andrea
you,
all fired up
Emily.
with this one.
Yeah, you
Thank
did.
you.
If she ever comes across our way, I'm kicking her in the cooter. And that's how that's going. She deserves it.
It's all fun and games till people start getting kicked in cooters.
That's what happens when you act like that.
All right, Emily, get off our screen before we
All
gotta
right.
kick you in the cooter.
Have a good night, dear. Mwah.
Bye.
Bye. Try and stay cool.
Okay, so
Yes.
good news, bad news.
Bad news.
I put together the sound effects for the show opener and the show closer into Streamlabs now, so I could free up the iPad to be able to see the chats, which is I'm able to see the chats now and keep an eye on that stuff better. But I forgot that without my sound effect board, I don't have the noise for either Discord questions or the bullet blitzes.
Wow.
So now I've got to go.
You can do it by mouth. We have one Discord question.
I was going to make a Police Academy pun here, but you stepped all over me on that too.
You're going too slow for me. I'm worked up. Emily's story worked me the heck up. My eye lost to contact.
You had your face all into the graffiti.
Becky.
All right.
Fucking Becky.
Discord questions.
All right. So settle the age-old debate.
Oh boy.
When you go to sleep, you like it A, with the TV on, B, dark and silent, C, the nightlight, or D, with music.
I can't do music because my mind will start singing along with the music and I'll stay awake all night long. But I do need the TV on because I need voices and background noise on to make it feel like somebody else is in the room and awake and happening. If it's too dark and quiet, this guy starts filling up the void and it gets real spooky real fast.
I have a couple extra levels to that. I don't like music on at night because I kind of get distracted when the songs change their loudness and the beat and everything. Don't really want a nightlight. I do need the TV on, but I have to adjust the brightness on the screen so that it's like a very low brightness. And I also need a fan on because once the timer on the TV goes off, I will wake up to the dead silence. So I need to have some kind of white noise, so I need that fan going also.
Preferably pointed at the other guy in the bed with you so he gets the sniffles.
I like to point it at my feet because I don't like both my feet underneath the blanket because it gets too hot.
The fact that the fan has to be on every night is why you can't get rid of that cough.
That might be.
The sniffles and the
I have
cough.
a feeling it also has to do with the fact that after the fire last year over here where there was tons of ash in the air, the ductwork in the entire house has never been cleaned out, which is probably awful. So every time the AC goes on, it just blows more crap out in the air, and I breathe that in too.
This is a Gratwick adage that has been passed down for generations. And by generations, I mean at least as long as 1997 when we were all watching the Sunday football on one channel because there was no Sunday ticket, and sitting in our buddy's bedroom at his parents' house. If you leave the fan on super, people get the sniffles.
I don't put it on super. I put it on low. I need just the right hum. Just a.
But
I need it.
no,
I need it. And the white noise thing won't work because then I won't feel the breeze on my feet.
it's a sniffle machine.
All right, so that was our Discord question.
All right. So I just found out that recently the Discord.me people have been down and out of commission for who knows how long, and they're back up and live. Good news. Exactly how you want to find out that the link to your Discord server hasn't been working for weeks on end.
So you're saying if people did try and couldn't get in.
If you previously tried to join the inner circle and the private party going down in Discord. Now, I've been hearing some vicious rumors from the Mandar army that Discord's for furries. So, I don't know how many furries have infiltrated... How many furries have infiltrated our Discord server, but apparently it's a hotbed for furry activity.
So a couple months ago, a 12-year-old tried to tell me and Kris what a furry was.
I don't remember that.
Apparently, the younger crowd think furries are the animals that you draw that you think of like your animal spirit kind of thing. So if you like to draw squirrels, you're a squirrel furry.
So
I could not. This 12-year-old is mature acting, but I did not want to open her eyes to what a furry really meant, but I asked her to please never search that on the internet.
So
Don't ever look up furries.
Morgan says a fan is a must, and she listens to Coast radio before bed.
I
Good
used
stuff.
to do that. Mm-hmm.
Morgan, if you're looking for some
Or
great,
Delilah.
if you're looking for some great audio to listen to while you fall asleep, the guy's name is, I think it's Jeffrey P. Farrell. It's definitely P. Farrell, but if you look up on YouTube the Cosmic War, there's a 17-part interview session with this lady. It's called The Bite Show. BYTE. The host has already passed away and dead. This was recorded
Like a gigabyte.
probably 5 or 10 years ago. But out of all the rabbit holes and all the conspiracies and all the land, the Cosmic War is the mother of them all and is absolutely my obsession. Every bit of my writing has some sort of inspiration that has come from the Cosmic War. It's the one conspiracy theory that takes religion, science, archaeology, geology, astrology, all of the sciences, all of the different types of evidence, all the different types of stories, and combines them all together to get one story that has that each one of these things provides evidence and background to. It's pretty much the only sound and rational explanation for why the asteroid belt exists.
Is that something Morgan likes to listen to when
If she's listening
goes to bed?
if she's listening to Coast radio, this is right up her
I
alley.
thought Coast to Coast was like the Dick Clark one where they play the old top hundreds list.
No, dear.
Oh.
No, that is not Coast to Coast.
What about Space Ghost Coast to Coast? That was a great show.
Well, Space Ghost Coast to Coast is
That's
actually closer to the
hilarious.
actual Coast to Coast is than your Dick Clark reference.
I like my Dick Clark reference more. It was
Yeah.
nice. Or
Yeah.
Delilah. Ever listen to Delilah? Delilah.
Yeah, you-
Love songs at night.
Bringing that back.
Hell yeah, Delilah's awesome. You know, Emily says that she has a light that spins stars on the ceiling.
Oh, that'd be
That
cool. That'd be
is
cool.
super freaking cool. I want one of those.
I'm a big fan of interactive ceilings.
Do you remember the movie Mermaids? Wasn't there the light that made it look like they were underwater?
Oh,
That- Yeah, Christina Ricci played the little sister, and Winona Ryder was, you know, the one, and Cher, and yeah.
I do know that Salvatore's, a great steak joint in Buffalo, has the skylight room that has twinkling stars in the ceiling of the dining room, and occasionally, there's a shooting star.
Like a real one, or they have it set? for
Yeah,
light?
inside the building, there's a
I
real
like the
shooting
idea of
star
occasionally
that goes
people
by.
see shooting stars outside. That's nice. I like that.
Okay. Moving on to Discord questions. which
Discord questions.
I guess I'm.
Beep,
Oh,
beep,
no.
beep.
We just did Discord questions. My bad.
Whatever.
Moving on to Bullet Blitzes, and I got to make the.
Bullet blitzes.
I've got to. Yeah.
That's the new sound.
Okay. You're up first, dear, so I can buy time to come up with my
All
Bullet
right.
Blitz.
So you kind of stepped on it. Kind of stepped on it early on, but whatever. I had it here first. In light of the multiple mass shootings over the past weekend, if you were president, how would you try to stop the epidemic? Understand, let's just pretend that you don't have to have the Congress, two different sides of it, all pass a bunch of shit and have it take another 12 years. If you could, as we've learned our president likes to do whatever the fuck you want when you want, and everyone can just deal with it. What would you do? What would be your new, this is the way it's going, motherfuckers?
I think the only thing that could have a substantial impact that is not emotions based or let's make ourselves feel good based, which I guess is another word for emotion based.
No, not necessarily. Emotions aren't always feel
Something
good.
that's not just a superficial fix. I'd say it'd have to be. Oh my God,
I know,
dear.
you hate the cough. You would say it'd have to be. You're taking forever to answer the question. It's not hard.
It have to be somewhere along the lines of Medicare for all. Like even if we don't want to get to the point where like every other free world country we offer our citizens Medicare as a right to life, I think there should be some sort of emergency scenario where if you. So we were talking at the beginning of the show where you can't start policing people for pre-thought, pre-crime, all of these different types of things. But I think if you're on one of these dark paths and you check off certain boxes where you're at a higher risk for creating a violent act or something like that,
Homeland terrorism.
I think there should be a path towards free mental health care. At least you have the ability to have somebody to talk to and talk through those processes and things that you're dealing with.
But someone having the ability doesn't mean that they have the will to do it, or anyone will make them actually do it. Usually
absolutely
when
not.
you're pushed to that point, you're not looking for help.
You're
not
not
looking to make other people feel as angry as you are.
And this is the problem with today's society, in which all you little freaking lemmings and snowflakes and wet blankets can't get over and can't accept and can't deal with. There's no 100% fix to every problem out there. There's a lot of people on this planet. 8 billion people to be exact. There's a percentage that's going to be problems. Always. No matter what the fix is, no matter how much rights you give away, no matter how much security there is, there's always going to be a percentage that's going to do bad things. You've all seen Batman, for Christ's sake. Some people just want to watch the world burn. That's the simple reality. What are you going to put the rest of us in cages? To protect all of us from the few people that want to watch the world burn? There's nothing we can literally do about it. Can we tighten a little bit of rules here? Can we take a little rights here? Yeah. Can we offer some extra medical services here for? Because again, we're dealing in percentages. So okay, let's say 1,000 spree shooters. Take 1,000 different spree shooters. And you offer the scenario where people that check the boxes or volunteer themselves that, like, listen, I really need to talk to somebody, give free mental health care. No, you're not stopping all 1,000 of those spree shooters. But I promise you there's a percentage you're stopping, whether that's 10%, 2%, 15%. I don't know what that percentage is, but every single one of those percentages is one less spree shooter, and it's a whole bunch of lives that weren't taken. So listen, everybody wants to change the world. There's a reason they say changing the world starts at home. Change your own life, you change the world. Because you can't have an absolute solution to everything. So you have to do what you can. You have to do your part. You have to take incremental steps. But you can't go too far trying to appease everybody with a blanket issue. This is my biggest problem with the over-regulatory of laws and everything else in this society. There's so many people in this population, and this is why there's so much division, and everybody's fallen into their default camps and all this other bullshit. The reason? Guess what? Universal laws across this many people are never going to work. There's always going to be people that need tighter laws and tighter restrictions because they're idiots. It's the same thing with instructions. No matter how much you dumb down instructions and give people step by step, there's always going to be idiots that fall through the gaps between step 1 and step 2.
Becky.
No matter what happens, they're going to fall through the gap between step 1 and step 2. Even if you put step 1.5, they're still going to get lost. So how dumb do the directions have to get for me and the people smarter than me to appease the people like that? Like Andrew gets mad at me all the time because I ignore certain rules and certain information and certain type of things, and I go for the intuitive, how it should work. Because I know one common denominator that Andrea, in all their goodness, bless her heart, doesn't want to acknowledge with this world. The majority of people are stupider than we are. And it all has to be catered to the lowest common denominator. So,
I like to read instructions when we have to put something together.
So
it's very simple.
If we have to protect ourselves from the drooling moron that's going to kill himself with a mattress tag, so now there's going to be a big warning: don't rip off mattress tags. That doesn't apply to me because I'm not a blithering idiot. So that's really what it comes down to with the laws is we've reached a point where the same rules can't apply to everybody because there's always going to be this segment of morons that needs to be freaking babysat 24/7, and there's always going to be these people that are going to do the right thing whether the law tells them to or not, that don't need to be micromanaged into incessantness, that don't need to be belittled and talked down to and treated like a freaking idiot because I'll bring this to the simplest common denominator: traffic lights. It's 4 a.m. A red light should turn into a freaking stop sign. But we can't do that because the idiots of a certain segment of the population will be an absolute moron and they'll go right through it and cause an accident. And there's lawsuits all over the place. It's it's nonsense how much you're going to try to impose on the sound state of mind, the morally guided people, the people that can think for themselves, to try and control and protect us from the sheep, from the fools, from the criminals, from all these people. Dude, watch Demolition Man. Demolition Man. It's a perfect society with no crime. That's not fun. That's not great. That's not good. The only way you get there is by total control of everything. And then guess what? The crime that's being committed is being committed by the people that have total control over everything. You can't get rid of evil. You can't. It sucks that somebody gets upset, goes around and hates their life so much that I'm going to kill myself, but before I do, I want to inflict as much pain on people as possible. It sucks that that's a part of our world in this day and age. But you can't get rid of evil. You just can't. So yeah, I'd offer people the option to get some mental health care if they're either self-aware enough to realize and ask for it, or if they check off enough boxes where, listen, bro, you technically haven't done anything violent yet, but like you're teetering on the fence here. Why don't you go talk to this person for a little while and see if they can like relieve some of the stress? Because I tell you, sometimes you just need to be able to be honest and vent about shit to let it go. But if you don't have anybody in your life to do that to talk it through, to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, those people are scumbags and they did screw you over. But you got to move on, man. Like, it's hard to let go of stuff. It's hard not to focus on that shit. And it's hard not to blame the outside world for the reason you're alone and have no friends or any of these things. Even if you were a bad person, even if you were a bully, and it's hard to just change. And even if you're trying to change and a good person, you're still isolated and alone. That type of stuff compounds itself. It gets dark and slippery real fast, man. And the only thing we can do to lower these odds is to reach out to our fellow man and give a goddamn fuck. So there's my answer.
Okay, that's your answer. So if we get a Democratic president next time around, since most of them are on board for the universal health care, then we should expect to see a decrease in mass shootings because people will have access to mental health facilities.
Yeah, again, it's to me this is as common sense as we shouldn't choke people to death over a single cigarette. But this is America in 2019. No matter what it is, we can't agree on it. Can we agree that, you know, it's nice to say hi to people when you pass them in the street? No? Is that now a controversial point as well? I don't know. Nothing seems to be in a universal agreement anymore, and we're supposed to all live under the same laws in that kind of dynamic culture. Good luck with that. I'll stay here up in the hills outside of the blast zone. All right, my bullet blitz, dear. Either or.
Both.
So, if you had to have a choice of living in between one of two places, either living in a small town hundreds of miles away from any kind of large city in a state like, let's say, Montana or Iowa or something like that, or you had to live on an island where you had to commute to the mainland for everything you need, which would you prefer?
I either have to drive or take a ferry. You're pretty much asking me would I rather take a ferry or a long car ride to go get groceries?
Would you prefer to live on the mainland but in the middle of nowhere, or would you prefer to live on an island and have to commute to the mainland?
I feel like those are the same options, so it doesn't matter. Which one's
It's absolutely
cheaper?
not the same options. One is the middle of farmland, the other's an island. How is that even remotely close to the same option?
Having come from the middle of nowhere, you still got to travel to even get basic groceries. To do anything, which is the same as you would have to do apparently.
It's not
off
the
this
same.
Island.
Driving 2.5 hours through cornfields and
Or
taking a
riding a
speedboat that I
2.5
can jet
hour
ski on the
ferry.
back while I'm going to my grocery store is absolutely not the same thing.
Alright, well, considering there's rising waters, I'm going to go with the mainland. I'd like my house to be there after
Alright,
a storm.
I'd take my
My
island.
luck, there'd probably be a volcano I'm living on.
I'd take my chances with the island.
Well, there we go.
All right, you're up. I forgot my sound effect.
Yes, there you go. Crap in a hat. I did not have another one. All right. I know sometimes you overreact during the time when something is happening, or you react the appropriate amount to your emotions to when a situation is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of overreact, it's how you feel, and you can sometimes explode.
I burn hot.
And after the fact, you feel a little bad, and now you actually want to be the opposite of what you were before.
Even when it's justified, I always end up
Correct.
feeling bad afterwards.
So if you were in the situation that Emily was in, of you didn't do the wrong thing, you did your job, and someone else not only didn't like the fact that you did your job, but then tried to bitch about it to a coworker, your coworker, not even their coworker, to try and somewhat get you in trouble, hoping that you were wrong, how would you really react the day after?
Oh, I'll tell you exactly what
The day after, not while it's happening.
Oh, I'll tell you exactly what would have happened the day after. The day after I found out you were talking shit online and people were aware of it, I'd get them goddamn screenshots and they're going to be hanging from the lunch break room refrigerator. And this is what we're doing now? That's exactly, scribble right on it. This is what we're doing now? Really? We're talking shit about the QA people in freaking online, offline, in work, in the break rooms? This is what we're doing now? Yeah. Put them on blast.
All right.
You want to escalate it with passive aggressiveness? Let's go. I'm your Huckleberry.
All right. Bam, bam. Your turn.
All right.
Ba-bam,
All right. Bullet Blitz here. Would you rather have a new car or a new apartment?
New car. An apartment, you have to pack and move and unpack, and a new car is so much easier, and my car kind of blows. It blows a lot, guys. Drive time tricked me. It was a bad decision.
I was involved in that dupe as well.
Well, I did not even suggest drive time, so I was being polite on not throwing you under the bus, but I'll throw him full.
Drive time was the only one.
Pushing him under the bus.
Hold up.
He freaking drive time.
Drive
time.
drive.
Gotta do it today. Gotta do it today.
God. You're rough shot all over this episode. Eyes, coughing, just bulldog and
My eyes still hurt.
steamrolling through my one-liners, hijacking my monologues, all of this stuff. I don't even know where I was bringing this around to. Yeah, I've got nowhere with that.
I win Bullet Blitz. I win today.
Yeah.
I win today, everyone.
Yeah, you won today about as much as Becky won her freaking.
Don't you fucking start calling me Becky. I'll call you Becky.
Her appeal, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not bitching about it. I didn't go on for a half hour about how to
not
hurt anyone. Your last Bullet Blitz.
I did. I gave it to you.
I went first.
No.
Then I went again.
Yeah, then I went again. I just asked you, do you want a new car or an apartment?
That was actually it?
That was the second one, yeah.
Oh.
Ooh, I'm just randomly asking you questions during Bullet Blitz.
All right.
That's not how the show rolls. All right, folks. We'll be back next week. The topic for Gratwick Access is going to be live stream production sets with wrap-up shows akin to The Talking Dead, hosted afterwards.
Interesting.
Hit that button.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.